The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, which is important, or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. You gotta find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. So my accountants, my attorneys, they're in it every single day. That's how I learn, because every day I'm solving problems in my business. So I have accountants and attorneys and bankers and all these people on speed dial because I'm solving problems with my team.
How does a 9-year-old kid in Hawaii, a poor kid, get to this point?
So I was in Hawaii, I was 9 years old. My father was the head of education, PhD. Very smart man, good guy. And for some reason, we moved across town and I went to a school with rich kids. And suddenly I realized I was poor because it's relative, as Einstein, it's all relative. And my classmates were mostly white guys. And I was one of the few Asians in the class. So I remember raising my hand when I was 9 years old, talking to my fourth grade teacher, and I said, when am I going to learn about money? And she says, the love of money is the root of all evil. And she says, we don't teach money in school. I said, why not? And she couldn't answer. And she got very flustered. She said, sit down, take your seat. And then I got curious and said, why don't we learn about money? She said, go ask your father. He's my boss. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and said, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, look, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, I'm an employee, I'm a government employee. And I went, oh, what's the difference? He says, the difference is an entrepreneur must know about money, or then they're no longer entrepreneurs. And he says, an employee doesn't have to know anything about money. He says, the government will take care of them, the company will take care of them. So I'm all confused. But I took my dad's advice and I trundled over to Mike's father's office and knocked on his door and I said, hey, I'm here, 9 years old, teach me about money. He says, beat it, kid, But that's where the story of Rich Dad Poor Dad started. And finally, through persistence, my rich dad started teaching me about money on one condition. And that condition was he would never pay me. He says, the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says, that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free.
Well, you said it's the most exciting time to be alive right now for young people. There's so many opportunities. You speak to entrepreneurs like today. What is the most common sticking point you see from entrepreneurs when they come to you? What do you see right away that they're just not doing?
Well, I think the most important thing is that they're working for money. Because at Rich Dad Poor Dad, just go to chapter 1, the rich don't work for money. Then the question is, well, if they're not working for money, what do they work for? But too often they just he's just saying that. But they never go into study and figure what the heck is he saying. So the answer, I'll give people the answer, is the rich don't work for money, they work for assets. An asset produces cash flow, not a paycheck. Cash flow is not taxed. Paychecks are taxed.
Right.
The guys that pay the highest tax are the self-employed, small business guys. But they keep saying, well, he says don't work for money, but I have a business. You've got to convert your cash into an asset, not the stock market, into an asset. entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They keep going. They'll change the rules. They'll reinvent the rules. You know, they don't just take one answer. So a real entrepreneur, it really makes no difference which country you're in. That's my belief. So I love that. You know what I mean? It's just a mindset. You know, it's, if you mess with me, I'll find a way around it.
I remember you said one time, I don't need a paycheck, I don't want a paycheck, I'm a rich man, but I work for free. And when I see you say those words on stage, it's really powerful and it kind of just shakes me. And I was wondering if you could explain, what do you mean by that?
Well, for those who have read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, chapter 1, the title says, The Rich Don't Work for Money. And most people don't understand that because they've already been genetically programmed from parents and schools to go to school and get a job and work hard for money. Now, the harder you work for money, the poorer you get. And the reason for that is money was designed to steal our wealth. You know, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, because it makes me richer. But like the yin and yang of life, everything has opposite sides. So everything that Rich Dad taught me was opposite of what my poor dad. My poor dad was a school teacher, you know, good people, but they don't know anything about money. So on one side, my poor dad's always saying, work hard, you know, go to school, get a job, save money, and get out of debt. On the opposite side, the yang side, no, don't do that, you know. So when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it was about the opposites. That's all it was. And the rich don't work for money. The richest people in the world don't work for money. You know, but the average person, that's not part of their consciousness. So you look at Steve Jobs. His paycheck was $1 a year.
Right, same with Bezos as well, right?
Yeah, they don't want money.
So they're kind of giving her a subconscious message that you're doing all this training so you can work for someone someday. And you know, right, and buy a house.
I didn't want to do that.
Right, okay. And buy a house that's not an asset, buy a liability, but a liability.
Yeah.
And work up these school loans, and then you pay them off. And it's almost, I don't know, I guess it's not a slave mentality, but it really is this.
It's a paycheck mentality.
A paycheck mentality.
Look at the other side. They say, don't get into debt. I'm in debt up to my balls.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as a businessman, you want some leverage.
Well, there's good debt and bad debt. See, bad debt is debt I have to pay for. So my house, I have to pay for it. So it's bad debt. Mortgage is bad debt. At the same time, I have about $300 million in debt. But it's good debt because my tenants pay it off. I'm a landlord. So good debt is debt that somebody else pays off for me. And so that was the lesson of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the way my rich dad began to teach me when I was age 9 was just playing Monopoly. You know, 4 green houses, 1 red hotel.
Love that game.
Yeah, today I own red hotels, you know. My point is, the reason it's hard for the poor and middle class to get rich is because the philosophy, the thoughts, the actions, the education is opposite. I don't save money, I borrow money. Okay, once you understand that, I go, why would he do that? Well, if I can borrow money, I never have to say I can't afford it. You know, I can afford anything I want as long as I can borrow for it. So debt is good, but it takes education.
And you said the book is about accounting, and it is an amazing book on accounting because it makes it understandable.
Yeah.
I took accounting in business school, and I know what you mean.
It's boring.
It's boring. Yeah. But it is also a book about your own fears, and I think that's why it resonates with people. Because you're telling them things they know is true. They know when they look in the mirror they're not making the correct choices. They're not being disciplined. They're doing the wrong thing. And they know they're unhappy, in fear their whole lives, waiting for the next paycheck.
And it's understandable. You know, we all have fear. And to be truthful, we all have fear. It's just how you deal with it. And, you know, Einstein said, you know, imagination is more important than knowledge. But knowledge empowers imagination. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, you know, like debt, like taxes. You gotta know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody.
They don't tell them that, Rob.
Yes. Don't tell people that they put you in. Keep them poor. But, you know, unfortunately, the poor, as was in the Bible, I'm not real religious, the poor will always be amongst us, because it starts up here.
Right, it's that fear mentality.
It's in their words, you know, and the words become flesh. Again, I'm not really religious. I flunked out of Sunday school also. But when they say I can't afford it or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. And I meet so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money?
Your
I don't
mom
have
used to say
time.
that. Your mom used to say that.
My dad,
Your dad.
my PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because this is an escape. It's an escape, you know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. You know, when you could go to the gym, but no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym.
And you play it safe and you don't introduce new risks into your life. And
Right.
so,
I have job security.
right. And your rich dad used to say what instead of I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? You know, what would it take, or why should I do that? He says that a question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say.